Hello everyone and welcome. So in a world where cars are getting bigger, heavier, powerful and loaded with tech, can a simple roadster like the 2025 Mazda MX-5 still be the most fun you can have behind the wheel? Well, the simple answer is yes, but if you want to find out the long answer, then stay tuned for this detailed review video. So last year I had reviewed the manual version of the MX-5 and this year it's the automatic one, but in terms of the trim offerings it's exactly the same, except that there is one more addition to that. So the 2025 MX-5 is offered in GS, GSP and the GT variant, and there is one more 35th anniversary edition which is to mark the 35 years of this MX-5 model. And in terms of the particular variant that I am reviewing, it's the GT one, which is the automatic one. So the GS comes with just manual, as well as the 35th anniversary edition also comes with the manual 6-speed manual transmission, whereas the GSP and the GT, they are offered as automatic and manual. So they both are offered as 6-speed manual transmission or 6-speed automatic transmission. And in terms of the appearance, nothing changes. You get the same look in terms of what you see. So you get this soul red, and to be honest, this is one of the nicest colors, especially if it's in the sun, because I didn't want to take it out in the sun because it's just too bright. But once you put it, yeah, this thing really shines and pops. And let's begin from the front. So you have these sleeker headlights out here. So these are the dynamic headlight clusters. So the main headlight that you see here, that moves around to give you the cornering light effect. Also, these are the LED headlights, and there are the DRLs on the inside and on the edge, and those are the LED DRLs also. And the ones on the edge, outer edge, they convert into the turn signal. And there are also some fake vents that are going out here. This is just the plastic piece sealed off just to make it look a little more sporty in terms of the appearance. There are also front splitters too, and there's an opening at the bottom for the radiator, and then some more pockets out here, but they are not anything functional, just I'm guessing for appearance and design purposes. And underneath the hood sits a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine with 6-speed automatic transmission. There is also a camera for the adaptive cruise control. Once we move on the side, check out how long the car is. Like, there's a very long nose and then a very short rear end, and you literally sit on the axle in the back. And on this GT variant of the MX-5, you get these dual tone 17-inch alloy wheels, and in the manual version that I had tested last year, there were Brembo brakes, but this one comes with just the standard brakes, as well as there are no Bilstein suspensions that are offered on this, but you get the standard suspensions. And there is also no limited slip differential offered on this automatic variant. So all these options are only for the manual transmission if you go for that. And there is also no DSC track mode, which is a special mode. So if you activate it, controls basically the rear sliding, and then sort of helps you with getting more timing if you are going to lap this car around a circuit. And at the bottom there is just this normal plastic piece that's given, and then very roundish arches also provided here. There are also turn signals provided on this fender itself. And when we come to these side mirrors, these are body colored side mirrors. So they are non-power foldable, they are power adjustable, they have the blind spot warning on the inside. And when you come to these doors, so these are the keyless entry doors. Press and open, and the doors are actually quite long, and sometimes in tighter parking spaces these doors might become a bit of a problem, because yeah, it might tend to hit the walls on the side. So just be careful. Even in the rear, the same 17-inch wheels. And then we come to the rear end, again pretty much remains the same in terms of the design aspects. And the rear end now has these LED tail lights. So these are the full set of LED tail lights. The brake lights, reverse lights and the turn signals are all in LED. The MX-5 badging, Mazda badging, Sky Active G badging, and at the bottom you would notice twin exhaust tips that are provided, and more sort of these plastic trims, fake ends, and then reflectors around that, and a very simplified rear end, also very simple car that way. And then you must be noticing this, because this is a soft top version, so there is a hard roof, not a hard roof, but it's called the RF version, so where you remove the hard roof from here and then you put it in the trunk. But on this there is this soft top roof, and you just basically have one option, which is this black one. But on the 35th anniversary there is a beige color option that you can opt for. Now in order to open the trunk door, when you press this button, because there is still a usable trunk space given on this MX-5, so you can put 130 liters on the inside, which as you can see I've put like one bag, so maybe 2 more bags can fit in here. There's also a tire repair kit provided and a trunk light too. So yeah, still a functional trunk space that you get with this, so you can still go on longer drives and yeah, put like 2 small bags inside for 2 people. And let's first open the roof, because obviously it's a bright sunny day and it's the best time after 2 long days of a lot of rain. So it's finally opened up and cleared. Now when you open these doors, so these are frameless doors, so the windows go down when you open them, so you get the opportunity to open the roof. So it's manual, very simple, easy to operate. Flick this and you can see the windows roll down, and then you just take it off, and very easy to just use it. Now I really like this idea, because if you want to just put it up again while you're driving, it's just very simple. Again, just put it back. It's that simple. No fuss, no electronics where you have to go at 30 kilometers per hour to be able to operate it. Just manually you can just use it, and then the open cabin feeling returns here, and then it easily fits into the back, does not consume extra bit of trunk space also. And there is also this wind deflector which is given, which is a fixed one, so when you use this MX-5 with the roof down, then it cancels the wind effect around the seats, and yeah, gives you a quiet ride experience. And the thing is that once you put up this roof, it sort of leaks a lot of sound, so yeah, it will not give you a full, you know, airtight sound that way on the inside. So yeah, you can still hear people talking behind your back. Maybe good, maybe not. And let's continue with the doors out here. So you get this body colored door on the top side, whereas at the bottom there is this soft touch leather covered materials on the handrest, again soft touch leather covered, and then this plastic trim meant to look like carbon fiber around the switches. And one more thing is that when you put down the roof, the windows pop down, but if you put the roof up, they don't automatically pop up. So yeah, that is something, if that, I know I had mentioned that in the previous video also last year when I had reviewed that MX-5 manual. Even in that it was the same case, but yeah, it would be nicer if they just pop up on their own once you are done putting the roof down. So once we jump on the inside, so I don't really have to jump also, because this car is so tiny, so I can just show it from outside also. And but I want to sit inside and get closer and show you the material quality. So it's like plastic material on the dashboard, even on the top surface out here. There's slight amount of softer material with the white color stitching. These seats are the leather seats with the white color stitching. Around here also there is soft touch material with the white color stitching. Handrest again is leather covered. Like it's a tiny storage also. I don't know what you can store, maybe your keys, that's about it. Manual parking brake, no electronic. Here that manual one, and the automatic gear shifter stick out here. And in terms of the driver's display, so you get a 4.6 inch screen out here. Let me switch on the car, and then the screen lights up, and then you have the information displayed out there, and then this rev counter in the middle, fixed one, and the speedometer on the right side. It has in miles per hour also at the bottom, and the information that you see on the left hand side gauge, that can be changed using the button provided on the steering wheel. So you press that and you can change from trip A to trip B, and the safety information, cruise control, compass, and then back into the same trip information. And then there is this another stick on the top, so you change that and then you can see on the top. When we come to the steering wheel, so this is a rounded steering wheel, leather covered with the white color stitching, and then buttons are provided on either side, and the steering wheel is manually adjustable, tilt and telescopic. And there are also paddle shifters provided, because even though this is not a manual one, but there is a manual mode, so you change it into the manual mode and you can take the control and shift through 6 different gears provided. And on the right side there are buttons provided for the adaptive cruise control, and on the left side there are buttons provided for the media controls and the driver's display, that you can change the information that you see. But again, yeah, the steering wheel is pretty straightforward, round, and no fuss here too. Now when you come to the air conditioning, so you get single zone air conditioning system, and the best part is you get dials for everything. Again, very simple, and this car is all about simplicity, which is why I said simple car. You don't need to learn a new thing, just get inside and just start driving, because it's such a driver focused car. Like, there are no distractions once you're driving inside this car, just man and machine bonding together. So in order to operate the air conditioning controls, in the middle there is the auto option and the fan speed, that dial for that, and then you can change the temperature from here, the AC on and off, and then the flow of air. That's about it. That's how you operate the air conditioning controls. And then there are buttons provided out here for the heated seats, so the driver and the passenger side seats are the heated seats. Now when we come to the infotainment screen, so this is an 8.8-inch infotainment system with Mazda Connect, and it's not a touch screen, but it does become one when you switch to the Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. And just like all other Mazda cars, this thing is also operated using the dials and the buttons while you're on the move. So there is a dial for the volume control and this main dial, and this also acts like a joystick to change and go through different menu options. So on the screen itself, let me go into the home screen. So you have the first option as the information for fuel efficiency, vehicle status monitor, and then we go back and into the entertainment, where you will find all the connectivity options. So in terms of the connectivity, you can connect to this infotainment screen using Bluetooth, USB, and there is wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Then the communication when the phone is connected, inbuilt navigation system, which requires an SD card out here, so that needs to be plugged in to be able to use this inbuilt navigation system. But there is Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, so you can use the maps from there too, but nonetheless it's good to have it. And again, that's also operated using the dial that's been provided out here, but it still does not become a touch screen even for their own navigation system. Then there is the detailed settings in vehicle displays, where you can change the display of all these different settings, ambient display, then the sound settings. So you guessed, Bose music system provided on this MX-5 GT Automatic variant. And in terms of the sound performance, I really like it, even though this is a small car, and especially it has to be powerful, because the thing is that when you put the roof down, it can become a bit noisy. So but surprisingly the music system has been pretty loud, and to add to that, there are also speakers provided in the headrest out here. So yeah, you really get a full surround sound system around you. Then there is the safety settings, vehicle settings, doors, exteriors, lights, lane, turn signals, and all of that. Then the connectivity, Alexa, it comes with inbuilt inbuilt Amazon Alexa. Then the system settings. I'm having trouble connecting. All right, then we go back and we go into the information that you see out here. So in order to do that, you have to flick the dial on the left side. So when you flick it into the left side, it shows you the notifications. And if you notice, the Android Auto, Apple CarPlay is displayed out here, and for that you have to flick the dial up and down, up for Android Auto, down for the Apple CarPlay. So you can see it shows you different options here too. And there are also shortcut buttons that are provided out here for the home, navigation, music, and the star button and the back button, and this volume dial also. And in order to use this gear shifter is pretty straightforward: park, reverse, neutral, drive, and the manual mode, and then go back into the parking mode. There's also an SOS button that's been provided, and then these tiny sun visors too with the mirror but no lights on them. Now when we come to the charging, so there are two type C USB ports, and that's about it. That's what you get inside this one. No wireless charger or anything, and doesn't matter because just this much is more than enough for everyday use. Now in terms of the storage, not much storage that way inside this MX-5. Like in the door cars, there's none. There's this pad out here where you can put your phones. I've really been struggling with some of the storage options in this. And this one, small storage where you can put your keys. That's about it. And there are two cup holders, flexible ones provided in the back. But here's one cool thing: you can remove these ones, and you would wonder why that happens, because there is one more slot that's been provided out here for the passenger side. So you can remove those, and then you can put them out here, so the passenger side seat can have this cup holder, although it would hinder them. But if you are the one just using it, then you can use this also, so the drinks are right in front of you all the time. But nonetheless, yeah, you can change them into different positions. And there's also a small storage provided, like a box, glove box types, which is provided in the back to put some of your paperwork and stuff. And also behind the seats, on the driver and the passenger side seat, there are more storage options, tiny ones, but yes, you can put your wallets and phones inside there, so that when you're having fun inside this car, you are not distracted at any point. And there are round vents on either side of the driver, and then these sort of rectangular vent, just one single one in the middle, and again the round one on the outer side. Now when we come to the driving mode, so there is just like two modes. So you see the switch out here, you flick it into sport or you put it into normal, and it shows you on your display also, driver's display out here, sport and normal. That's about it. Now when we come to these seats, so these are the leather seats provided, and let me just jump out and show you, because these seats, they may look like they are not like gonna be a lot more comfortable, but trust me, they are very much. They sit low down, so there is no adjustability options to increase the height or reduce the height of these seats, but just pretty much in the fixed position. So these are the perforated seats also, but they are the heated seats. They have the white color stitching in here, and then these fixed headrest also, and then here also you can see the Bose speaker system that's been marked, so you get speakers inside the headrest also. And they are pretty long that ways, but they are quite narrow because the car overall is quite tiny, to be honest. It just starts off as a very wide and broad car, but by the time it goes in the back, it becomes pretty narrow, as you can see from the top side. Like it just sort of tapers inside. So yeah, it's just to make it much more aerodynamically efficient. So yeah, it's all for that. And there is good amount of side support, and also at the bottom. Then the previous version that I had reviewed, the manual one, those ones had the Recaro seats, and those were actually pretty sporty ones. But these ones are pretty good for daily use for sure. They are very comfortable in that sense. And on the driver side, so the seats are both manually adjustable, passenger and driver side, but the driver side, there's this extra dial to adjust the bottom side of the seat, whereas the other levers are to adjust the position of the seat and the backrest. And the passenger side seat is just four-way manually adjustable. And one more thing is that because there is no space much inside this car, so you see this bulge that comes in, and it pretty much consumes the passenger side of the space, and that's basically to do with the fact because there is the gearbox and the differential that's sitting at the bottom, and that's why it consumes that much of space. Even though on the driver side there is still a bit of lump that shows up, but the driver side cannot have less space, so the passenger has to do with that reduction in space. There are also these bars that are provided, so they protect you in case the car topples, and then yeah, you sit you know, in the opposite direction. I don't know why, but yeah, if you happen to be in that position, then these bars will protect your head, so your head always remains under the seats. But if you're above 6 foot, yeah, 1 inch, then you might start hitting the roof that's been put up, because the overall vertical space is quite tiny, so the headroom is slightly reduced in that case. Now, enough of talking about the interiors, because now it's time to go for a drive. Is the automatic any good? Because I know you're going to be jumping, oh, it's an automatic and not a manual transmission. But hang on while I'll explain you everything about this MX-5 automatic. So the first thing I want to mention is the ease of using this foldable roof, and I want to demonstrate you that. So in order to fold it down while on the move, just flick it. That's it. We are out now in the open with a convertible. So, is this car a thrill? But let's first begin with understanding what it comes with. So, this 2025 MX-5 automatic GT version comes with a 2-liter 4-cylinder DOHC engine that is mated to a 6-speed automatic transmission, and it sends all the power to the rear wheel. So all the models pick up any trim, they are all rear wheel drive, and there is the option of the manual transmission and this. But the thing is that if you opt for the GSP variant, and there is a sport package in that, that's where you get the Brembo brakes, and also you get the BBS wheels. So you might want to check that out. And otherwise, there's also the option like the Bilstein suspensions, the shock absorbers that you get with. But I'm sorry about a lot of noise right now, because the roof is now open, so you might hear a bit of noise. To compensate for that, there is the engine. Now, in the previous car that I reviewed last year, which was the 2024 manual version, there was the sound enhancers, especially for the exhaust. So when you put down the power, it used to make some delicious noise. But on this, it's a bit muted, but again, I don't mind, because there is still air flowing over my head, and that's what I want. Now, in terms of the power figures, so this 2-liter 4-cylinder engine produces 181 horsepower and 151 pound-feet of torque, and through these 6 gears, it sends the power very efficiently. Now, there is no limited slip differential, so there's a bit of tail wagging action that keeps going around, so you have to manually correct it a little bit. But what a chassis that it rides on. It's still the same brilliant combination, but I will admit that this 6-speed can be a bit undecisive and sometimes a bit clunky to change gears. But there is also the manual version, and if I put it into the sport mode, the power is instant, and even the gear shifts, they are pretty crisp after that. And you can even take the manual control using these paddle shifters, but there is a bit like a few milliseconds of delay, but nonetheless there is the option to take that control too. So in terms of the overall power delivery, it's still pretty good, and still pretty good for an MX-5 for sure, because it will not disappoint you. And let's be honest, the automatic is for people who don't want to use their left leg and just want to rest that and then just enjoy the car in this sort of weather. And I wouldn't complain, because it makes sense. Let me take the manual control and show you. There is a half-second delay before it changes gears, even if you put it in the sport mode. So just leave it in the sport mode and let the car figure out the gear changes for you. And as I was mentioning, yes, it's for people who just want to enjoy the car, a convertible sports car, a tiny one where you don't have to worry about which gear am I in and all of that. So it's for that, and it still delivers the same MX-5 levels, because it's running on the same chassis, the same philosophy, which is the Jinba Itai. So all of that is still there. There's still the same Mazda recipe. And to be honest, the view that I get from here, because I can see the car very well, the arches and everything on the inside also, so it's just very easy to calculate, and there are no blind spots as such on this car. And every single time that people have seen this car on the road, especially with the roof down and in this color, someone has come in and complimented me, saying that this is such a fabulous looking car. So yes, it's not gonna be less of a show off. So yeah, drive it with pride, drive it with joy, this car. Now when it comes to the suspension, so there are no Bilstein shock absorbers, but just standard ones. So there is a bit of softness, but still good amount of hardness that it still keeps all the traction and the stability at all point of time. And when it comes to the steering, again, pretty responsive steering. It's the usual Mazda way, in fact even enhanced, because the feel from that, the precision from that is really nice. Now in terms of the efficiency, so in the mixed environment of driving in the city and the highways combined, I've managed to get between 8.3 to 8.5 liters per 100 kilometers, which is not bad for a car which is just over 1,000 kilograms. And the car is light, but through the dynamics, clever dynamics, it just feels very attached to the road surface, and it also gives you good feedback. And also at certain times you want that heaviness, and it delivers on that too. When it comes to the brakes, so there are standard disc brakes on this, but the action from that again is pretty firm and pretty precise. And this car has just done about 1,100 kilometers now. When I picked it up, it was about 960 or 935. So yeah, it's fairly new car too. So everything is just in mint condition, and even the brakes, they are pretty tight too and responsive. Now when we come to the noise and the vibrations, so there is a bit of tire noise, and as I said, because this is a soft top, so there is the noise from around the car, but the front glass surprisingly is very quiet. But again, these are not the things that you complain about, because this is what you get with this car. It's just the joy of driving with the roof down, and I wouldn't complain because it's still fairly quiet on the inside. And if I just put the windows up a little bit, not that one because that has the camera attached to it, so if I put the windows up, it makes the car on the sides pretty quiet too. So yeah, win-win situation. Now when we come to the safety system, so there are 4 airbags, 2 for the front driver and the passenger, 2 side airbags again for the driver and the passenger. There is no child ISOFIX points, and if you want to opt for it, there is an option, I think, but I'm not too sure if it's offered in the Canadian market. And there is a single camera reversing system. It's got this fish eye lens, so it shows you very broad view, but still pretty decent clear reversing camera. But this car is so tiny, like you can literally maneuver it without the cameras also. Then there is the front and the rear collision warning, the pedestrian warning, the adaptive cruise control, blind spot warning, all of that. There's also the anti-theft safety systems which you get with this car. Now in terms of the pricing, so the GS variant starts from 35,450 Canadian dollars, whereas the top variant, the 35th anniversary edition, comes in at 44,050 Canadian dollars, whereas this, the GT variant automatic 6-speed automatic transmission, comes in at 42,550 Canadian dollars, and even the manual one is offered at the same price. So there is no change in manual or the automatic. So yeah, you can just opt for any option. Now in terms of the pricing, this is still a fabulous price to pay for a car which, let's be honest, most modern day cars are just, as I said, getting bigger, powerful.
Check your network connection.
Alright, they are getting bigger, powerful, maybe fun to drive in some of the models, but not every car that you pick up, because everything's just become too much about electronics and control and all of that. But this still maintains that clean sort of setup where, yes, you just man and machine just interact with the environment. And with the roof down, because the chassis is pretty good, it's not wobbly or anything, because it maintains that firmness also, so there is no torsional twist in the chassis too. So all in all, a brilliant driving car. And let's be honest, so many cars these days are just fading away with so much of tech added to it, but while this remains a pure car. So it's definitely worth getting this one and enjoy this while this lasts, because we still don't know if the Mazda MX-5s will be around or not. So while they are there, grab them and enjoy them, and don't worry about the automatic. Automatic is still fun to drive. It's not going to disappoint you in any way. So yeah, make sure to just at least test this car and then see what you're missing out. Because if you're venturing into the sports car, and if you want a car that is just very easy to handle, very easy to operate, and very easy to use for day-to-day purposes, then the MX-5 is for you. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and leave all the notifications on. Make sure to leave the thumbs up on this video if you've liked this video. I shall see you in the next one. Bye bye, take care and drive safe.